All right, what's up, everybody? We are here another episode of Armchair CMOs. Vaughn here with my partner Jules. Julie, how are you?
Great. How about you?
Doing great. How was your weekend, Jules?
It was so good. We are like fully in spring, so the weather has been absolutely perfect, so no complaints. My roommate is a very talented lead singer in a band, and I saw her perform yesterday, which was really fun. So I had a great weekend. How about
Interesting,
you?
interesting. Just doing my entertainment artist management thing, Had a fashion show this weekend and
I saw your and Kia's outfits were very chic.
got
You
another.
know, you know what I loved.
I know you love the fashions. I know you love the fashion. Also getting ready for another client's art exhibit opening this coming weekend and another fashion show. So art exhibit on Saturday, fashion show this coming Sunday. So just been scrambling with that. I was also in Richmond for an event on Thursday. So a lot going on. A lot going on.
Very cool.
So for today's episode, I know I go on a lot of rants all the time about how I hate how we talk so much about the NFL season when there's not NFL games happening. We are in the middle of peak NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs, among a bunch of other things. But today we're going to talk about the NFL, and that's okay. And I'm okay with it.
There's lots of NFL stuff to report on this week, so I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's allowed. We
Okay.
spent a few weeks, at least a few weeks now talking about NFL, so
So the first thing, Jules got on her Washington Nationals hat, which is kind of relevant today's first topic. Big news out of the DMV, specifically out of DC today. Washington Commanders are coming back into the city. Plans to take over the RFK land where they played up until 1996, which was a big deal to have them back in the city. So, $3.8 billion deal targeted for 2030 opening, which is it sounds farther away than it really is. Like 2030 is really like not that far, but still. There's a lot of news about like a lot of discussion around this and speculation about this like from a few weeks ago. The biggest thing was the turning point where the land of RFK Stadium um, changed ownership from being federally controlled to being controlled by the actual District of Columbia. So that was a major piece to the puzzle and being able to make this deal happen. Owner Josh Harris is committing 2.7 bill of his own teams, and I say team like his own ownership group's money, which is a big deal. It's the biggest private investment in DC's history. That's about 75% of the funding, which is completely opposite of other stadium deals that have come up recently in Cleveland and Chicago, where the majority of that money was being paid by taxpayers. So good PR for Josh Harris and his crew about making this happen, but also trying to get some goodwill with the city, the residents of the city. Despite that, there still is already a little bit of buzz about how that money could be better spent, which is obviously makes a lot of sense because you're spending it on a football stadium when people don't have great schools, roads, or places to live. So that's always going to come with the conversation, but at least Josh and his team deserve a little bit of credit for trying to take a huge chunk of this bill, at least to start.
for sure. I always have strong opinions on stadium development plans, usually tied to like how much is publicly versus privately funded. This one I am a fan of, like because they're putting up so much of their own money. Like $500 million is obviously still a ton for like a city budget, which like I don't know how much the annual DC budget is, but that's huge. I'm sure, like still a huge number. Um, and I wanted to caveat, like, there's still a chance that this fails. Like, there's still a chance that the city council doesn't pass it over the summer and like it never goes through, it doesn't happen, or happens in a very different way or something. I add that caveat because that's exactly what happened with Monumental Sports and Ted Leonsis and the Wizards and the Caps. Did a similar thing where they like announced that they reached this deal. They're like, we're building the arena in Alexandria in Virginia. Like made it sound, done same way as this deal, but then it did fail in the Virginia assembly. It's called something different in Virginia.
Yes.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know it.
Yes.
Um, Assembly, yeah. So
Yes.
Field the Assembly, so it didn't end up happening, which I was happy about because it felt like too much funding for me to a billionaire when like moving the team out of the city didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for the fans, it made sense for the neighborhood that it was going into. Like, definitely a bigger fan of this deal so far. The other reason that I'll give, like, I wanted to give this a little bit of a backstory, and the reason I like get excited about this stuff is A, I've always been excited about this stuff. B, I have an economics degree. C, um, I did my like big final project for my MBA was on stadium development. We worked with like a group in China to develop like a bunch of thoughts and kind of like best practices. So I've done like a lot of research into this. Part of that research was into Nats Park, which is like one of the most successful stadium development as urban development strategies that has like ever happened. Like if you look at the Navy Yard neighborhood, which is where Nats Park is prior to 2006, um, like in desperate need of some like strategic urban development. And if you look at that neighborhood now, it's like thriving and there's still a ton of development going on like 20 years later. Um, there's like some controversy to that still, like in how it's measured and how it happened and when it, like this and that. But the big piece that I like to like quote on this is like they're gonna pay off the bonds that they issued in order to pay for that loan, which was like a similarly sized loan to build Knott's Park in 2006, which obviously in 2025 dollars, it was more that amount of money. It's the same dollar amount. So it was more money in 2006 than it is in 2025. But they're going to pay off those bonds 11 years early, which I feel like is normally the opposite. Like stadium development deals often end up producing less revenue than projected, and it ended up being the opposite in this scenario. So clearly, like this model can work in DC, and it has worked in like recent history in DC. So I'm excited about this. Like also just from the standpoint of like I'm not a big fan when teams who claim to be from an area don't actually play in that area. Like both the New York teams being in New Jersey, like I want the Washington team to be in Washington D.C. So like lots of reasons that I'm excited about this.
Yeah. That's a great piece. Like, to transition into obviously like we didn't really talk much about the marketing standpoint, but like one, that's a huge branding piece for the Washington DC Commanders to be back in DC. I think, I love it. Obviously we talk a lot how we have ties to that place, to that city. I love it for the people who are in the city and are fans of that franchise to be able to have that back in the city limits is going to be great. Yeah, we've seen it be great success with the Nats, and even the United and the Spirit. So cool
Right.
to have them back in DC. We'll talk about from a marketing branding standpoint. We did notice the announcement today. Thought the announcement had a really cool video showing a lot of historic footage from past games at RFK. Super Bowl winning championship teams played at RFK. The video was voiced by Joe Theismann, I think, and they had a big announcement in DC with Joe Theismann was there, Doug Williams was there. My guy Tim Hightower, who actually is in Richmond, he went to University of Richmond, but is like on their alumni team, alumni relations, player relations staff. He played for the Commanders, Redskins for like a few years. Um, but he's from the DMV area, which is great. Joe Gibbs was there. I mean, the fact that Roger Goodell himself was there was great. Riggins was there. So it was a big deal. Dale Green was there. Like they brought the big guns out in terms of making it a big announcement and also like really playing on that nostalgia of those guys who made that place a home to so many fans, like and have so many memories of that place. To have them be involved was definitely great. Another couple of things we want to talk about from a marketing standpoint, branding standpoint. Stadium's supposed to be translucent roof, which means that now we're talking about not just having their regular season back in the city. Now they're talking about they can host the Final Four like other big stadiums do with roofs that are like indoor stadiums and also, hosting the Super Bowl. So that'd be great for obviously football in the DMV, specifically in the DC area for this thing to go the way that it seems like it's going to go. Everyone seems to be excited about it, other than things that we talked about. But happy for the city. Should be fun.
Yeah, agreed. I'm excited about it. Um, that was obviously the big local NFL news that I feel like we need to talk about. The other NFL news that, and the reason why I think you're making an exception for talking about NFL in the offseason is the draft happened last week. Which not only is the draft like a big deal, but also like this particular draft appears to have been a big deal when talking about like ratings and attendance and that kind of thing. Do you
Did you
want to dive in?
watch it?
No. I don't remember what I was doing Thursday night. I didn't watch. I am not a draft watcher. That's a boy thing, I think. I think only men can like sit down and watch a draft. Same way only men can watch like Selection Sunday. I feel like the girls just don't care.
Now
I care
I
what's
watch
happening. I'm
I
watching
watch
the notifications, but I can't sit there and sit through the whole thing.
I watch
Sorry.
Selection Sunday. I don't watch the drafts. I don't like the NFL drafts, like, especially since they moved it to this Thursday, Friday, Saturday like setup. Like
Schedule.
I'll have it on, but I'm not necessarily watching it. Like same thing with the NBA drafts. Um, it's so funny to me that you said that. Like I remember when I was in middle school, like sixth or seventh grade, there was this really he wasn't like he was like not a friend, but he was like in a circle of people that I was cool with. But I just remember us giving him a hard time because like he had planned his whole Saturday to watch the NFL draft in like 1997 as like a 11-year-old. And I was like, bro, what is your what is
You
like
were 11 in 1997.
Jules? Jules, relax. We had this whole conversation before we started about our age difference. That's it.
Sorry.
Before.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I take everything back.
I was at an event this week on Thursday, and so I had it like I was at a place that had it. We had it on. Um, but I wasn't paying that much attention. Like I paid attention enough because my Jacksonville Jaguars made a power move to trade up and get the best, most exciting player in the draft, Travis Hunter. So I was excited about that for the moment, but I was not paying attention to the rest of the draft before after that moment. So let's just get to the numbers. We talked about it being one of the biggest drafts since people like I feel like just recently they made it a thing where like people really want people to go. Like I think there was always like you could go because it was at like Radio City Music Hall or something like that, but now they're having it at big cities or cities that have NFL teams and making it a big deal. So just some numbers real quick. Obviously, for those of you who weren't paying attention, it was in Green Bay, which is a whole part of this story that makes it so much more miraculous what we're about to describe. Like 600,000 people going to Green Bay is a big deal for the NFL draft. They say it's the second
That's
largest
a
attended
lot of
draft.
people.
600,000 people is a lot of people for anything, but
Yeah.
for the NFL draft is a big deal. Second largest attendance since they had it in Nashville in 2019. Like we said, being in Green Bay is a part of the story because 600,000 people is almost double the total population of the metro area in Green Bay, which is crazy to say that you have that many people coming to your city at one time. They're expecting that excitement to continue as it goes to another really like, and that's the other part about Green Bay, right? Like Green Bay, we know is like a diehard football place. So I'm sure, there was a good mixture of the local people who stayed around, which is great. But another football town like that is Pittsburgh, but obviously Pittsburgh is a much bigger city, so they're expecting to hopefully crush that number by going to have the draft in Pittsburgh next year. Um, we mentioned DC getting a stadium for the Commanders back in the city. They have also put in a bid to host the draft in 2027. And then Denver, Buffalo have put in bids for 28, 29. So I personally would never do it, but it is cool to see people get excited to go to watch the draft in person. It's not a big draw for me personally.
I don't think I get it. Like, what are they going for? Like, what are there, is there like a lot of stuff that goes on around? Is there like, it's not like they can get into the room.
Yeah, you don't get to be in the green room. You're just out in the audience and you
I'm just like so confused how like 600,000 people is nuts. If you had told me 50,000, I would have been like, that's a lot, but I can see it. Like 600,000 people is
but it's like
insane.
you think about like the other tentpole event for the NFL is Super Bowl. And usually Super Bowl is dominated by rich people and celebrities and corporate sponsors, and then whoever the two teams are. Like it's not like you don't go to the Super Bowl if your team's not in it unless you like got money to blow and you just want to go. Like this is a thing where I'm assuming it's affordable as long as you can get to the place. Maybe this is the closest thing you can get to having some kind of NFL experience. I don't know, but I wouldn't do it.
I just like think that those 600,000 people need something better to do.
Also, it's in Green Bay. It's outside in April.
What?
It wasn't warm. Green Bay outside in April
Yeah,
is not that's not a destination for spring break.
Green Bay is also like not easy to get to, I feel like those, like it's not a hub. Like if it was like Atlanta or Chicago or something where there's like a lot of easy direct flights or something, but
So what we're doing right now is making the point for why we are the outliers of why the NFL dominates everything all year round. Is because people care. Like people care of like insane, nonsensical amount about the
I mean,
NFL, obviously.
I was just like looking at who the Steelers drafted every round, and like I did have my phone up in the first round to be like to know as soon as they drafted someone because I was curious. But like I care who they draft, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah, speaking of watching, so ratings, it said official numbers come out later this week, but the average for round one was 13.6 million viewers. And then the second and third round viewership averaged 7.4 million, which is up 40% last year. Thanks largely in part to the topic of our final point today, the fall of Sanders' draft position was the biggest story of the draft weekend. But we're not going to talk about that specifically. We're going to talk about the branding aspects of it, the branding implications for it. Obviously, we know that the Sanders family brand is very strong right now, very visible. Lots of discussion about almost everything that they do. The fact that Dion's got a talk show on Tubi with Roxy Diaz and there's all this discussion. People are mad that they retired Travis and Sheduer's number at Colorado. Like there's so much talk around them on top of the fact that this big dramatic fall in the draft happened this weekend. But from a brand standpoint, big brands bet on him, and I think that they will be fine, even if he doesn't like play a lot, right? Like, so when I say big brands, Gatorade's first. Gatorade had him in two spots last week. He was in the big spot that we talked about on the show last week. That was narrated by Kendrick Lamar, had Kendrick Lamar in it, and also featured big names, Luca, Caitlin, Asia Wilson, right? And now he's like the fourth round draft pick quarterback. But he also had his own pre-draft spot, right? Like his own dedicated Gatorade ad. Like him being a collaborator on the IG post for both of those videos and having those be on his page, like that's a big deal. Like that's not something that you would expect or you assume or associate someone who's going to be the a fourth or fifth round. What I don't even remember what it was. Was it fourth round? I think it was fourth round.
I think it's fifth.
Fifth. God damn, that's rough.
I think it was fifth, yeah.
Fifth round draft pick is in this in the is in a Gatorade commercial with arguably the best rapper alive and the most visible names in basketball. Cool, 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 cool. But I say all that to say I'm being facetious, but like the reality is in our social media world right now, like the brand value for Shedeur is not going down. He's all like again, the Sanders family is everywhere. There's a ton of brand awareness for them and what they got going on. They got their hands in a bunch of stuff. They're super visible. But on top of all that stuff we just talked about, oh, I didn't even talk about Nike. Like the Nike thing, he was one of the athletes that got drafted. He was in a post that Nike Football did. Like, but he was the first guy on the post. So again, I don't think that it's gonna affect his marketability that much because, like I was about to say, in the social media world, he's still got 2.4 million followers on Instagram. On top of that, he has his own brand, his own media brand, partnering with Overtime, which is like one of the top leaders in digital social media sports content. So they're gonna keep cranking stuff out. That's perfect to have your own channel to tell this story, right? Of how you're either going to overcome or not overcome this crazy obstacle. So definitely unfortunate and definitely a crazy story. I feel like there's tons of reasons, tons of speculation about why it happened, but at the end of the day, he's gonna be all right from a brand standpoint. And if he actually gets to play and he plays well, he'll be even better.
Yeah, I feel the need to make a comparison to Bronny James here. Because he's kind of got the same thing going. Like he's famous for who he is and who his dad is. Like probably more so than his playing would have like warranted otherwise. So he's definitely gonna continue to get like media attention and therefore like brand deals and like continue to be famous as a result of that. To your point about Nike, that post is honestly like almost a little confusing to me because the caption and the first slide of the post were definitely about like Sheduer and they were about being like underestimated by the GMs and blah blah blah. And then Sheduer was first on the thing, but then they also included every other Nike athlete that got drafted, some of whom went like first round. So it's confusing that like they had Sheduer first and then like guys who arguably are like set up for better careers behind him. But B, like the whole theme of the post is out about like being like passed up in the draft and blah blah blah. And then I was like, no, but you had guys who went first round in that post. Like it's just confusing to like bucket them all under this category of kind of like that chip on your shoulder.
So what do
So like
I mean, can we
speaks to
tell?
his recognizability and whatever, but then also like it's just a little confused by that post specifically.
Tell which day this came out?
The post
Yeah.
4 days ago is what it says.
Hold on, let me look on Twitter, see if it's on Twitter. Because Twitter will give the date.
Um, I also wanted to say something super specific about that post. The caption is, "Don't know who's going to look worse, the GM that passes on me or the teams that have to line up against me." And I feel like this was a very deliberate choice to use the term GM as opposed to like the team that passes on me or whatever. I feel like Nike was a little bit capitalizing on some of like the Nico Harrison hate from last week and just like shitting on GMs across the internet. It felt very intentional to me. I don't know otherwise that they would have used like that GM language.
Mhm.
Found it?
First day of the draft was Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So Nike Twitter, wow, wow. This is maybe they're just giving up. Nike's running up your draft board, NFL Combine on March 1st.
That's their last tweet.
Next tweet is a retweet of Ashton Genty getting drafted on Thursday night.
Interesting.
And the next tweet is the graphic of Ashton Genty. And then the
That's
next,
what they should be doing for the record. He went six overall.
yeah, but they didn't do like, this is such a weird thing. This is so weird. Rivalries? What? What? Starting this season, Nike and the NFL are like they literally only tweeted about those two guys, Ashton Genty and this guy from Penn State.
Hmm. Tyler Warren.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Uh, I will say the one other thing I have to say about Shore is I feel like the way he handled not getting drafted on day 1, despite like making a big deal out of it, and then not getting drafted on day two either. Wasn't it not until day three? Yeah, I think so. Um, the way he handled that, I think, is really good. Like, there's like you get the video from day one, and then like the video of, or like whatever, his statement or his video or something like once he did get drafted, just like came out very grateful, very humble.
Yeah.
The fact that there was like no public crash out of like, F everybody, like I'm being underestimated, blah blah blah. Like I feel like that was good for his image too. Like his image might have needed a little bit of repair after like sliding from day one when he made a big deal out of like he had his own room and all this press and the
Mhm.
hats on the wall and this and that, like, and then to not go day one, to then to handle it like gracefully, I
Yeah.
think like made all of that criticism kind of less, like way less relevant. So when I give him credit for that, like that's also gonna keep getting him brand deals too. Like if you have like a public crash out and a big ego, like that might damage your brand friendliness.
Yeah. I uh I thought he handled it well too. I think it's again, it's part of let's not be I mean, we're not naive because we know the sports world. But like there's a team. There's a team of people who are making sure that this machine is being run appropriately. Like it's the same team that's behind his dad, but also is behind like Michael Strahan and some other people. Like they're not messing around. So they weren't gonna let him mess up. Like I think there's a thin line between they want him to be himself and like have his
Yeah, except so
personality
many
show, but like not
so
at the moment.
it's so clear that so many guys are not controlled by their team.
Right.
Like, so whether it was like his humility shining or somebody else making him say those things,
Yeah.
like the fact that he even listened, and protected the image was good.
It's a combination of both because he's been in the spotlight since he was a kid. Like when his dad
Right.
they had the family show. Like he's been like clips of that resurfaced this week too, which is part of the cool story and build up. But he's prepared for it. Like I think that's all that whatever, and this is just me talking as a person who watches and has no dog in the fight for him personally or for a team that he plays for or could have played for. Like they've been doing this. Like they actually have a right to talk certain ways because they actually have been who they say they are for the most part. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I feel like a little bit obligated to say too, like going fifth round doesn't also mean, like you said earlier, like he might not play that much, which like he might not, but also like there's many examples of QBs who didn't go until later rounds and like outperformed what their draft pick would have suggested. And like, I mean, there's players who underperformed their first round picks and whatever. So like it doesn't necessarily speak to how well he's going to do in the draft either. And then like if he does end up playing more or whatever, that would also be good for brand deals. I also like that Bronny comparison continues, like because he's well known, he might get picked up somewhere. Like if he doesn't perform and he gets traded or whatever, like he might get an extra chance that someone else might not because he has that like recognizability, and the like fans, the following. So he's gonna be fine.
He's gonna be
I
fine.
think, yeah,
He's gonna,
yeah.
he's gonna be fine. Fine.
Uh, lots of news though, for sure.
Gonna be fine. All right. No more NFL talk for a while.
Don't say that. What if something happens?
There's nothing that could happen. Nothing that's nothing. There's no.
Okay. All right. Uh,
Even though I
what?
probably will stop watching the NBA playoff if LeBron and Luka get eliminated, which is looking pretty likely. Don't get me started.
There's
Anyway,
still NHL playoffs. You can watch some hockey. And when does the WNBA season start?
middle or late May, I think middle May. I just want the Wizards to be good again so we can go. I can go back to playoff games. Like I used to love that.
May 16th.
That sounds right. Back in like
Yeah.
2017, I went to two Wizards playoff games in the same series. And I didn't even live in DC then. I came up from Richmond just to have a good time and hang out.
I
Playoffs.
don't, I, I don't know. I don't know who I like want to win the playoffs. That's a good point. I haven't like identified a team that I care about that I'm gonna watch.
If the Lakers get eliminated, I like the way the Clippers are playing. Um, I also like the way that the Warriors are playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe the Warriors.
East Coast wise, my Miami Heat, I'm just proud of the Heat for being the first. I said this last week, the first 10 seed in the play-in to actually make the playoffs, even though they might get swept tonight. But happy to be there though. Happy to be there. And
They're mm, they're definitely gonna get swept tonight. Have
the
you seen the score?
scores, what's the score now?
It's 123 to 69 with less than 7 minutes left in the
No
fourth.
way. 123 to 69?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
hmm That might be like the biggest lead or like, yeah, lead of all time.
It's crazy.
That's
It's crazy.
wild.
Oh, so I'm on ESPN.com, and so like talking about the Heat game, and the next thing is a picture of Jimmy Butler, who I used to be a big fan of, but now I have this Jimmy Butler Heat jersey in my closet that I can't wear anymore. I'm not happy about it.
You can wear it.
Oh, it's not because it's not the same. He forced his way out. He's like he didn't leave in good graces. He didn't get traded. Like it's not a neutral breakup. Like he's
Okay,
go ahead.
we did not talk about this, but this is like one of my favorite sports marketing things that happened in the last year is Robinhood, either for the whole NBA or just a bunch of teams. I honestly don't know because they did definitely, I saw it for a bunch of teams, but became the new like jersey patch sponsor for a bunch of teams. And they did this like jersey swap thing where you could bring your old jersey to like the Robinhood truck outside the arena and swap it for a brand new jersey with the Robinhood patch on it. Um, and if it was like last year's jersey, 2 years jersey, or whatever ago, like now you're getting a new one. Which I thought was like so cool and so smart, and like their attempt at, handling the guerrilla marketing and really making use of that like space that they're paying for. So I thought that was so smart. I almost feel like it could be kind of cool for teams to do like maybe it's just like a really limited run of that for like if a player kind of forces their way out in bad graces, is like a little bit as a way of saying good riddance, like trade in your Jimmy Butler Heat jersey for a new jersey. um,
And there used to be a
which
whole
is
Amex
probably a little controversial, but what?
used to be a whole Amex promo, like an Amex special. Like you could if you bought, I don't know if you had to buy with an Amex or if you just had to, I don't remember.
Probably
It was an Amex deal that you could turn in your jersey.
so smart. I love that. Bring that back. See, I don't know, look into it. See if anyone's doing something like that. Clearly, it's a thing.
Gotta
I mean,
be,
I feel like, I mean, it's cool. I also feel like if you did it on a really limited basis, you're getting kind of like a lot of customer loyalty out of that. Something that's like relatively low budget.
right? But you're also just kind of like, I think you assume the risk when you buy a jersey that there's a chance that that person to get traded. So you just have to like eat it.
Oh, I mean, like as a consumer, yeah. But that's also why I think it's like a cool opportunity for brands to take advantage of. Like if Amex did that and I took advantage of it, I would be, probably pretty loyal to Amex. Anyway, all right.
Jimmy Butler.
That's all we have. I'm
Yeah.
glad I got to go on my Robinhood rant. I feel like I've had that one up here for like months.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, cool. We will see you next week.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Bye.